We are unmuted, and we're looking at 6 o'clock. We ready to go? Okay. Board of Commissioners, as the governing body of Clatsop County, all county service districts for which this body so acts, and as the Clatsop County Local Contract Review Board is now meeting in regular session. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everybody. Clerk of the board, can we have the roll call, please?
Chair Cleland?
Here.
Vice Chair Banks? Here. Commissioner Toyoka?
Here.
Commissioner Webb? Here. Commissioner Thompson?
I'm here.
Okay. This item is the amended agenda approval. We have an addition of item 14A, which is the installation of sprinkler system for the Columbia Inn. That'll be on the consent calendar. And we also have one other addition.
I move to amend the agenda to add item 17. The topic is purchase sale agreement with Atlan Investments.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to add item 17 to the agenda, which is an amendment to the purchase and sale agreement for the North Coast Business Park with Atlan Investments. Okay, and we'll go ahead and take a vote on it. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. First item, and do we have a motion to approve the entire agenda?
I move to, well, is it the consent calendar first or the agenda or both?
Agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second,
Moved
Thompson.
and seconded to approve the, okay. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. First item is the proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Proclamation on page 4. And we have Monica Moline and Diana Nino both here this evening. Welcome. All right.
Guide us of what to do.
So you're both, first of all, I'll just go ahead and introduce both of you. You're both from Consejo Hispano.
That's correct.
And you're going to kind of present this proclamation this evening. So I'll just turn it over to you. And if you want to talk a little bit about it, that would appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody that's here and also online for joining us. And yeah, Monica and I, we work at Consejo Hispano, which is a nonprofit organization based here in Astoria, serving the communities Hispanic and Latinx in Clatsop County, Tillamook County, as well as Columbia County. And we are just very happy that Hispanic Heritage Month is now being recognized in all the different cities and counties and states of our beautiful country, the United States of America. So thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Any comments? Are we ready for a motion?
I have a comment. So my school students, they participated last year in your guys' community event that you had, and they're looking forward to participating again this year. So you guys did a great job last year.
Thank you.
That's great.
I move to approve resolution and order proclaiming September 15th, 2023 through October 15th, 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month and authorize the chair to read and then sign the proclamation.
Second.
Okay, all right, moved and seconded to approve the resolution and order proclaiming September 15th, 2023 through October 15th, 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month and authorize the chair to read, then sign the proclamation. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'll read the proclamation. In the matter of proclaiming the period from September 15th, 2023 through October 15th, 2023 to be National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Week was first proclaimed by President Johnson in 1968 and extended to National Hispanic Heritage Month by President H.W. Bush in 1989. And whereas the United States is founded on the contributions of a diverse people, and whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to recognize the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans to our nation and our local communities. And whereas nearly 9% of the more than 40,000 residents of Clatsop County are Hispanic, and whereas the rich heritage of Clatsop County's Hispanic and Latino community is to be celebrated, now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Clatsop County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 15th, 2023 through October 15th, 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in Clatsop County and encourages all community members to join in this observance and celebration, honoring the history and the contributions of people of Hispanic and Latino descent, dated this 13th day of September, 2023, Clatsop County Board of Commissioners. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you. Would I be allowed to read it in Spanish?
Absolutely.
Thank you. La Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Clatsop, Oregon, en materia de proclamar el periodo entre el 15 de septiembre del 2023 hasta el 15 de octubre del 2023 ser el Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana, considerando que la Semana Nacional de la Herencia Hispana fue proclamada por primera vez por el presidente Johnson en 1968 y extendida al Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana por el presidente H.W. Bush en 1989, y considerando que los Estados Unidos se basa en las contribuciones de una gente diversa, y considerando que el Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana es un momento para reconocer las contribuciones de los hispanos y latinoamericanos a nuestra nación y comunidades locales, y considerando que casi el 9% de los más de 40,000 residentes del condado de Clatsop son hispanos, y considerando que la rica herencia de la comunidad hispana y latina del condado de Clatsop debe ser celebrada, ahora, por lo tanto, se resuelve que la Junta de Comisionados del condado de Clatsop proclama por la presente del 15 de septiembre del 2023 al 15 de octubre del 2023 como el Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana en el condado de Clatsop, y alienta a todos los miembros de la comunidad a unirse a esta observancia y celebración, honrando la historia y las contribuciones de las personas de ascendencia hispana y latina. Fechado este día 13 de septiembre del 2023 por la Junta de Comisionados del Condado para el Condado de Clatsop, Oregon.
Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you for
Muchas gracias.
presenting the proclamation, and thanks to Consejo Hispano for all you do in the community.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Thanks
we
for being
invite
here.
everybody to join us on our celebration on Saturday, October 7th.
Awesome.
We're going to have lots of activities for the whole family, free food. It's a free event for everybody, and we hope you can all join us.
And where is it?
It's going to be in Seaside at the Sunset Recreation Center, the old Broadway Middle School.
Okay, great. Super. Well,
Thank you for having us. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for being here. Next is business from the public. So this is an opportunity for anyone to give a 2-minute presentation about any item on the agenda, except for public hearings, or any topic of county concern that is not on the agenda. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
No, there are not.
Okay. So we'll move on to folks that have signed up to speak that are here this evening. And I see we have MRL Eng. If you could state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Eng. My address, P.O. Box 12. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for your service. I've been assured you're a really good team by people I trust. I want to remind you that American Rescue Act dollars are federal dollars, which have responsibilities under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Civil Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Act. So any people who receive this federal funding should be adherent to those federal guidelines of non-discrimination. I would like to reach out to all donors and supporters regarding homeless issues that we have repeated reports that women are not feeling safe in the existing homeless industries. So if donors of food or clothing or support of any kind are interested in getting behind safe services for women, where women could possibly have separate facilities where they don't have to interact with domestic abusers or stalkers, that is an ongoing issue. Inclusivity of women as well as disabilities should be at the forefront. As we know, the local facility has a staircase which is ADA prohibitive. It has been an alarming concern of mine for over 2 years. I'd like to report that I have 482 days of discrimination from that nonprofit for trying to report crimes I witnessed, assaults of my friends, assaults of myself, and sexual harassment from people involved in the nonprofit. I do want to recognize their contribution to the safety and survival of the homeless and recognize that anyone doing that good really should be lauded, but until services are equitable and distributed fairly to all genders, regardless of race or orientation, the pain in the community is devastating. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eng. Do we have anyone else that has signed up to speak?
No, we do not.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on from business from the public and go to the consent calendar. We've had one addition to the consent calendar. Do we have any discussion?
I move to approve the agenda with addition, I think it's 14A.
Moved and seconded to approve the amended consent calendar. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Okay. We'll go ahead and start with the commissioner report, and Commissioner Webb.
I have nothing to report. I have, for the last 2 weeks, been with family on the East Coast. Sat through a hurricane and 101-degree weather. To be home? Yes.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you back. All right, Commissioner Banks.
So last week I attended our Fair Board meeting and fair recap of how well Fair went. I'm happy to say that they are already excitedly planning the next fair and have set some lofty goals in order to be done with planning long before Fair begins. I think the lofty goal is to be complete by April. So I applaud them. They had some wonderful discussions regarding the skid steer that they're looking to purchase, and just really pleased to see the folks showing up and excellent goal-setting sessions and some excellent responses to how well Fair went, and already looking for new improvements for the next year. Followed by, I was able to participate in 2 listening sessions with the governor's staff of the Natural Resources Department regarding our habitat conservation plan that is going to be impacting Clatsop County. I was really disappointed to see the resolution tabled. I felt like that was kind of a light of hope for Clatsop County in order to find a very good attempt at balance for specifically our county, being the one county of the 15 that is impacted the most. And so I'm hoping that resolution circles back with the Board of Forestry at some point in time. It may not. And the listening sessions, I was able to provide context for the losses that Clatsop County is going to sustain within the next 5 years, and it'll be for the 70-year period of the plan, if not longer, and was able to request economic support, job creation support, training, a multitude of other different ideas in order for the state to further support Clatsop County, because we are over 80% forest. We don't have the ability to pivot like other counties do, where our land base is so locked in with lack of industrial land. And so hopefully the governor's office has heard me, and Commissioner Coyla and County Manager. I'm hoping that there is a pivot at the state level that at least acknowledges and supports Clatsop County moving into the future. It remains to be seen. There's conversations of just one-on-one conversations, potentially with the governor's office and our county, or the governor's office and 2 counties. We're fingers crossed. I'm hopeful, but at the same time, having that resolution be tabled was rough. So anyhow, that's my report for today.
Thank you, Commissioner Bangs. Yes, Commissioner Ware.
Do you have the final numbers from the fair about the animal sales?
So the animal sales, I do. Let me pull it up. It'll take me a moment. If you want to circle to another commissioner, and I'll have an answer in just a second.
Sure. Yeah, come back. Commissioner Toyoka.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Nothing really to report at this point. I do anticipate some more discussion. Like I said, our county kind of feels like we're on an assault between the HCP, wind and wave energy proposals and Measure 110. We need to take more, as we are taking more of a proactive approach and trying to provide information on Clatsop County's impact and how these policies are detrimental. So I look forward to continuing the fight on these issues in support of our county.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner Toyoka. Appreciate that. Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to appreciate Commissioner Bangs' testimony. I also attended those meetings. She leads the charge and articulates the data points. What I try to do is to complement her presentation by offering the perspective of what reasonable people would do who are collaborating to have a balanced and rational plan that both heal the environment and didn't devastate our economy. So Commissioner Banks, thank you for your good work in addition to all the other things that you do on a personal level. So I appreciate all that. I'm also co-chair of AOC's membership committee. We've reached a $200,000 goal of supplemental business memberships to AOC. And what that does is help AOC expand its range of services. So thanks to all the businesses all over Oregon who have joined AOC in some form of associate membership to support that statewide organization, it's a big help, and it helps keep the dues that counties have to pay lower by the money that they contribute. Looking forward, tomorrow is the Colpack meeting in Tillamook at the Tillamook Bay Community College at 10 o'clock. The Northwest Act is meeting at 1 o'clock tomorrow, also at Tillamook Bay Community College. I'm still not quite back up to full health, and so I'll be Zooming in, and my colleagues are chairing those two meetings. On Friday, the District 7 AOC meeting is also in Tillamook at the Red Barn. Colleagues, if any of you are able to shake free and go to that, it's a wonderful chance to meet with your colleagues along the coast, because what District 7 is trying to do is to work with our legislative coastal caucus and LOC's coastal caucus of mayors in order to have a more robust coastal voice. So if you're able to come between 10 and 2 to the AOC District 7 meeting, that'll be great. I would remind you that immediately after that meeting, there is the conference about wildfire mapping in Oregon, and that's an important meeting as well. So if you're able to go to that, that'll be great. Next week, I'm hoping to be recovered enough to go to the AOC Legislative Retreat in Klamath Falls. So I hope to be back and look forward to seeing all of you again in person. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. We do appreciate all your work with AOC, and I appreciated your testimony at the CFTLC meeting as well. I think that there was a very good compliment to Commissioner Bangs, who really led the charge, as you said, and I think speaks for not just Clatsop County, but for all the counties. I think they all defer to Commissioner Bangs, her knowledge and her grasp of the issues, and she presents very well. So it was great to hear all of the counties kind of echo her perspective as they spoke to the governor's representative. And hopefully, we will have that opportunity to speak with the governor's office as Clatsop County individually, because we are the most impacted by the HCP and the draft HCP. Commissioner Webb?
I just wanted to say to Commissioner Thompson that I plan to be in Tillamook on Friday all day for all the meetings.
Fantastic. That's great.
I have,
And also to wish Commissioner Thompson a speedy recovery.
Before we go to my comments, we have a fair update. So-
yes, it's a fair update. I'm trying to hold it open. $498,755.75
Wow.
was the junior livestock auction. And I would say the thank you letters will be coming to all donors. The kids just got their fair checks, and so, along with the list of donors. And so cupcakes are being made in my family. So if you donated, cupcakes. They
That-
have little goats on top. It's very cute. I'm very impressed with my kids.
I wish somebody would do a study about the power of this $500,000 that has gone to our young people.
It's college for my kids.
I just think, I'm sorry, I get crazy about
Or at
the whole
least,
thing.
an eighth of a year of college, or I don't know. There's inflation involved for college, but yes,
Exactly.
very grateful.
No,
It's so wonderful. I think it's really one of the very best, aside the fun and all the other reasons that the fair is wonderful, this to me is just, it's the multiplier effect actually in Clatsop County is probably huge.
yeah, I agree. I think you can't overstate the $500,000 going through the fair sales. That's awesome. That's great. And I think you covered pretty much the Department of Forestry meeting and the CFTLC meetings. I guess the last I see Matt McGrath here with the Port of Astoria, I think one of the things that the seafood processors are dealing with right now are the new DEQ rules on discharge. They are, I think, setting standards that are unachievable. There's no ways to actually even filter discharge to the point that it would meet the standard. It's almost like tap water could be poured into the Columbia River and it would be in violation. So we need to weigh in. I think the public comment period is at the end of the month. I think it would be good for us to craft a letter and lend our voice to those of the seafood processors that are having to deal with this. Yang first, but it's going to be others down the road. So certainly worth us getting involved. I don't have anything else. Commissioner, I guess we've done with commissioners. County Manager.
Chair Quaylen, members of the board, it's been a busy week, and I've seen a lot of you more than I usually do, so that could be a good or bad thing, depending on your perspective. Just a couple of things, and there's a press release that either has gone out or will soon about the governor's state's allocation for the homeless money. I just want to put a little note on that, thanking the board for your advocacy for the county, thanking staff for their advocacy. I think a lot of good work went into this and a lot of conversations with the state. As I always say, you have to relish in the good, and this was a good moment for the county. At the same time, continue to hope for changes in how the funding formulas work from the state. So thanks to you and to staff for that. The Columbia Inn is getting closer to an opening. We hope to have ribbon cutting sometime towards the end of the month. We'll be looking at schedules to see how we can do that, but we're getting close to our final inspections, and so we'll coordinate on that. And then what I would just say is that, as we go through a lot of really significant conversations with the state that are going to impact us for a generation or more, that we are expanding our circle all the time, meaning with other counties, with other cities. We're not the only ones that face some of these challenges, but we are the only ones that face some of them. And so one of the things we are working on right now is we are interviewing firms for our state lobbyists. And so, because I think as we move forward, being connected to Salem is going to be really important for the county. And I think we've done a lot of good work recently doing that, but we need some boots on the ground down in Salem too. And so I think we're at a really good inflection point on really a lot of things. We're making progress, but we're going to have to continue pushing the ball for some amount of time. And then you have things like the FEMA BIOP and the offshore wind, and you have regulations for the seafood processors. Literally, we couldn't add too much more to the list of a really critical concern. And so I think it's, on the one side, I'm gratified that we're actually at a place countywide that we can respond to these issues, but I also wish that it would slow down a little bit. So just my 2 cents, but thank you for your leadership. We appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I would just say thank you to my fellow board members and to our county administration, county staff. That $3.8 million is the result of a lot of hard work and communication with the governor's office, stating our case boldly and strongly several times over, and that was a success. It isn't what we wanted, obviously. We wanted to have twice that, but it certainly is a lot more than we expected. So that was really a victory in the fact that our county manager and county staff and the board went to bat for that funding and received it. Great news. And I agree. I do appreciate the strategy. We do go with a collaborative approach to everything. We're not just out there on our own independently fighting. We want to bring in people with us. And we want to state our case logically and reasonably. It's not just complaining, we're finding solutions. Job well done. Commissioner Webb.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've taken a pretty deep dive into the offshore wind issues, and I am right now pretty pleased with the work that BOHIM's done, and I'm not terribly worried about the implications for the North Coast. I think they have decided on Southern Oregon, and that's especially because those southernmost coastal counties are very welcoming because they feel that it's an economic development boost for them. Apparently, we don't have the what do you call the bottom of the ocean, but the seafloor issues, attributes actually that they're looking for. So I'm going to this meeting on Friday to listen and learn, but I'm not terribly concerned about the implications for the North Coast. So,
Right.
But I will be there and report back.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate you monitoring it. We want to make sure. We want to fight for our fishermen. We want to fight for this community, and we know that those could be very impactful to have that right off of our coast. Okay, we'll move on to the business agenda this evening. And the first item is the funding agreement with Port of Astoria for Airport Industrial Park on page 132 of the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Quayler, members of the board. As you know, Clatsop County established a revolving industrial development fund per ORS 275.318, and the fund includes monies that have been deposited from the sale of industrial land, and these monies are dedicated to then development, purchase of additional industrial lands. And so it is a revolving fund, and it is intended to stay as such. These resources can be used for a number of different purposes, including the engineering, improvement, rehabilitation, construction, operation, and maintenance of an industrial property. We have received a request from the port to access some of these industrial funds for really pre-development work for the Airport Industrial Park, which is a 26-acre site in Warrenton. In conversations with the port, the funds will be used for wetlands permitting, initial and environmental work, planning, drawing, civil engineering, and site plans and utilities. So the board is being asked to to contribute $250,000 out of the roughly $3.3 million that currently sits in the industrial revolving fund to the port for the airport industrial park. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, County Manager. Any questions?
Comments?
Comments?
I'm very much in support of this. I think that just as the county manager was talking about a few moments ago about our partnership, we certainly have a partnership with the port that is very valuable to us. We also know that in any infrastructure project, the pre-planning is often the hardest money to get. And so I think this is an excellent use of our industrial revolving loan.
Yeah.
And so I'm very much in support.
Commissioner Webb. I want to acknowledge Matt McGrath, the Port Deputy Director, is here this evening, so feel free to, if you want to add anything, feel free to. Otherwise, I see Commissioner Thompson has a question. So Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to appreciate the port's increasingly robust capacity to operate as a successful business driver in Clatsop County. I want to appreciate Mr. McGrath personally for coming to Colpack and letting us know about this project and what the port is up to so we can be a supportive partner as well. Thank you and well done. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Any other comments? Okay, Commissioner Webb, did you want to make the motion?
Yes. I move to approve a $250,000 contribution to the Port of Astoria Airport Industrial Park Development Project and authorize the board chair to execute the funding agreement.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. Okay, moved and seconded to approve a $250,000 contribution to the Port of Astoria Airport Industrial Park Development Project and authorize the board chair to execute the funding agreement. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much. Thanks, Matt. Next item is the ARPA funding agreement with City of Warrenton to enhance infrastructure to facilitate housing on page 143. County Manager.
Chair Quaylen, members of the board, this has been a long-standing, ongoing conversation about how the county might help the facilitation of housing based on the 2019 housing report. And really what we learned from that is that there's housing needs at all income levels and all types of housing. And so one of the cities, and most of the housing will be developed within cities, but one of the cities who has the land capacity for some of that housing development is Warrenton. But Warrenton, as we know, has some infrastructure challenges, and it really relates to its wastewater and its water infrastructure. There has been conversations between the city and a developer about a fairly large development along the Ridge Road area. The county's not supporting that actual development as much as we're supporting the infrastructure that needs to be put into place to allow development. And certainly the $250,000 contribution from ARPA is just part of a funding solution for that infrastructure. I think it is a strong signal that the county is a partner in facilitating some of these housing starts. And so staff is recommending that $250,000 of the ARPA funds are distributed to the city of Warrenton for their infrastructure improvements along Ridge Road. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, County Manager. Do we have any questions or comments at this time? Okay, not seeing any. Commissioner Toyoka?
Oh, good evening. Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what County Manager stated about this. You know, we have always talked about the county being a way to facilitate development and growth. And this is one avenue that allows us to do that. And not just for a singular project, but to help the city of Warrenton itself develop many projects. And as we discuss on the Housing Task Force, it's not just about low-income housing. It's not just about supportive housing. It's about the entire spectrum of homes that are needed on the North Coast. We have to provide every level of housing, every opportunity, and facilitate that growth. And projects like this help attain that because it is broad reaching across the entire city of Warrenton with their infrastructure, and it helps facilitate that growth. So I, wholeheartedly been, not only advocating, but really thankful for this project that helped get us in this direction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Toyoka. Agreed. Any other comments? Are we ready for the question? Ready for the motion?
I move to approve the ARPA funding agreement with the City of Warrenton in the amount of $250,000 to fund infrastructure improvements along Ridge Road to facilitate housing development.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the ARPA funding agreement with the City of Warrenton in the amount of $250,000 to fund infrastructure improvements along Ridge Road to facilitate housing development. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item that was added to the agenda is item 17, and that is the purchase and sale agreement amendment with Atlan Investments North Coast Business Park. And Assistant County Manager Monica Steele, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Back in March, Atlan Investments came before your board to amend the purchase sale agreement and do a second extension of the purchase sale agreement for the due diligence period. They are coming before you again asking to extend the due diligence period another 90 days so that they can continue the work around wetland mitigations. The county received a technical assistance grant along with the Port of Astoria, and so we're working with Atlan and the Port to try and figure out how we can best address the wetland issues that both of us have for our industrial parks. And so they're asking that you extend it another 90 days, and this will take it out and this will, they're also asking that you are extending it free of the extension payment period. So I am happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Any questions? Okay, comments? We're ready for a motion?
I move to authorize the county manager to sign the amendment of purchase sale agreement with Atlan Investments, extending the contingency period for an additional 90 days without the required extension payment.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize the county manager to sign the amendment of the purchase sale agreement with Atlan Investments, extending the contingency period for an additional 90 days without the required extension payment. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Monica. That concludes the business this evening. Do we have anything for the good of the order? Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, sir. I've had a call from a constituent expressing concern about the impact of fentanyl on folks all over Clatsop County. And I really have to bring that before you, colleagues. I want you to know that when the local government advisory committee of AOC meets at the end of the month, we talk about public health and mental health issues directly with the leadership of OHA and DHS. And every month we talk about mental health, public health. Fentanyl is always there. Illicit drug abuse and the impacts of Measure 110 is always there. So we're looking at that as a body. If we, as Clatsop County, wanted to take action, or if you have further instructions for me, I'm happy to listen to that. But I think it is a festering sore that we'll have to deal with sooner or later. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I know this is an issue that we've talked about. Commissioner Toyoka has spoken about it before, and the alternatives for us with Measure 110, if we want to weigh in on that, I think that that's something we've also discussed, and I think our sheriff has weighed in as well.
Chair Quaylen, members of the board, I think that there has been some discussion regarding a resolution for the board to consider about opposition to 110. What's also occurring is there is some legislative draft writing regarding an appeal to Measure 110. And I think you might see some of that be introduced in the short session. It may not go anyplace during the short session since it's such a compressed time frame and it's a big issue. but there's also talk that if it doesn't move forward, that there would be an initiative process. And so there's a lot that is going on within the 110 sphere right now, and certainly I will work with the sheriff and with you to review a draft of a resolution as at least a starting point for that conversation, if that is the will of the board. So,
Sounds good. Yes, it is. Thank you, County Manager. All right. Nothing else for the good of the order. We'll go ahead